That's right. It is the morning show right here on Facebook Live, Periscope TV, LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, Roku TV, Apple TV, and Alexa. I'm sorry, we're no longer on Roku TV. It's one of those mornings where it's like a long week and you're ready for Friday. That's right. I got Mr. Jesse Sanchez over there. Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning.
You know what that's like, right? It's like you're thinking, half awake, half ready for the weekend. I think a lot of people.
Honestly, I thought today was Thursday.
Wait, is today Thursday? I don't even know now. Don't confuse me. It's Friday, Aaron. Oh God, I was gonna call you Aaron. See, I'm telling you, I'm all backwards and then some. So we'll get it together here. We're ready to go live here on the radio station just a bit. If you're just joining us, really excited about this. Our next guest actually is going to be pretty cool. Pretty cool. If you're looking for a good film to go check out, you might want to check out this. Again, maybe not with the kids involved. Tax
Definitely not.
Collector, yes, starring Shia LaBouf, Bobby Soto, and Cheyenne. Yeah, Cheyenne's going to be joining us around the corner. We're super excited about this. I've been looking forward to this ever since we um, made contact with the publicist. Cheyenne Hernandez is going to be joining us. She's the one in the middle, by the way, which looks pretty cool with the swords, right? Makes you wonder.
Right? Don't make her mad.
Don't, just don't do it. A woman with swords, you just kind of go, "Ooh, okay." Which I think some ladies will get locked up for that because there's some that just go,
10
you,
seconds.
you know.
No comment.
I'm not going to say any more than that, but each to their own. And then there's some that just need to defend themselves like that. You know what I
Two
mean?
seconds. Yeah.
So it's a thing. That's right. It's the morning show right here on ABC News Radio, KMET, 1490 AM. Joining our live streaming audience over there, Facebook, Instagram, Periscope TV, YouTube Live, and LinkedIn. Thank you for joining us. On today's show, we got lots of stories, lots of coronavirus stories. One of the top stories, of course, hitting all the way to the top. The President of the United States and his wife currently with the coronavirus and saying that they're going to quarantine themselves as well. One of their top aides over there, a longtime contributor to the Trump administration, has also fallen ill with it, at least getting tested positive with it. So we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. Obviously, that is the most breaking news as of right now. And right now, a lot of politicians and people are, including Biden and Harris, both of them, of course, taking to the social media and or airwaves, lending their support. Because look, at the end of the day, even if somebody's against you, you don't. And I keep saying this to each and every person. You don't even want you don't want somebody that you dislike and or mistrust to ever get it as well. I've always said that here on the morning show. I've said, it would be sad if, for example, somebody throwing caution to the wind suddenly got it and then said, oh, which has happened to other world leaders, including a European world leader, which currently is also voicing some concern on this because he also called it a hoax way back when, and he got it and he says, oh, it's a real thing. And then he applauded the nurses as well. So you know what? I don't know what's going to result of this. Obviously, I just hope. Obviously, they both get well. Obviously, we're hoping they're of the what is it, 93% right now that will get a-okay, and then hopefully, and I don't know if he is at a high risk or low risk, depending on, because you got to imagine the president of the United States has the ability to make a call and say, you know what, give me that vaccine or the what did he call it, the hydrochloric. Anyway, we got Mr. Jesse Sanchez over there. Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning. And it's called hydroxychloroquine. But
Thank you.
I don't think that's what he should be using. But they have something else.
You know what? I'm waiting to see what he is going to use, and here's what I hope. I hope whatever he does use, and I feel he'll be fine. I really do. Melania, I don't see her coming down with it too bad. I would hate for them both to come down with it too bad, just to make a point. That's not the point of this. The point of this is to say, look, it can happen to anyone. And if in case it does happen, hopefully you're of the ones that do survive this, because the good majority obviously don't want to throw like, oh no, they're, to the worst case scenario. The majority do get well by the numbers. Let's just face it. But if you have a pre-existing condition, and or even those that don't have a pre-existing condition, we're starting to see even athletes, as we mentioned, I think it was just the other day, of a young teenager, which was very healthy, very fit, unfortunately died. And, we're starting to see a lot of stories like that. And people are going, well, is there an underlying cause? Is there something that the coronavirus is exasperating? Is there something that's triggering, making it worse, making the symptoms to be quite varied? I did see one post saying he had mild symptoms, but I'm still waiting to see what the case is on this. So, but here's what I'm going to say, okay? To all those that have ever supported President Trump and said, oh, no need for a face mask, I hope at the end of the day they at least say, this is more real than we thought. Because I've been getting left and right from those that are pro-Trump saying exactly the opposite. So in some way, shape, or form, I just hope it's not spun in a very bad way. I hope it's treated as the right thing. Let's do the right thing. And I hope he comes back and says, you know what? Let's do the right thing for America and, of course, the rest of the world. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Obviously, it begs the question, what's going to happen with the polls? What's going to happen with the latest debates? Is there going to be a virtual debate? What's going to happen there, right, in the coming days ahead? Because obviously I can't see him going out and about for the next 2 weeks, pretty much probably sequestered. I don't know that he's going to do press conferences, and if he does, I would imagine that they set him up with a ability to do it in his own, I'm sure they have a room where he could do that and it's only him, right? Yeah. I mean, other people have done that as well, which have fallen ill. I know I have the ability to do that if I were to get sick, which thank goodness I have not just as of yet. But it can strike any one of us. And I think at the very end of the day, whatever side of the aisle you're on, I hope that the majority don't ever say, well, because I've already seen some of the news headlines, and I've seen some get kind of skewed, and some are going to be very, here's what I never want to go on the record saying. I never want to go on the record saying, serves him right. Never want to be that person, because, like I said, if every life is important, never would we want to say, oh, hey, well then, right? That's something, even if it comes up in your mental thought, you certainly don't want to keep pushing that out there, because at the end of the day, and I keep saying this time and time and time again, ever since March, I said, let's not throw caution to the wind. Let's be careful. Let's do the right thing. And let's just get over this. And sometimes, according to some countries, they've done the right thing right off the bat, sequestered a lot of people. Back to Italy. Remember that? We were looking at other countries and other states ahead of ours. And every now and then, Jesse, I get someone saying, well, why are you talking about them? They're not here in California. I said, because we're international, online. Why would you throw caution to the wind and not talk about New York? Remember when New York was at the forefront of this, yeah. Jesse? What did they do at the beginning?
Ooh, New York, to be honest, I can't remember. Didn't they just shove everyone together?
In some cases, yes, because they were like, okay, everybody locked down. And that has been proven to be fatal as of late. I did see an article about certain nursing homes, of course, being at the top of the list, which again begs the question, well, and I keep saying this, and I hope somebody will listen, you need to have UV filters in the air conditioning devices, because the way it's easily transmitted in a closed AC unit system. Look, there's some countries that have what's called split systems, okay? For those of you that don't know, a split system is one of those devices that you'll see in some restaurants, and it's kind of a standalone AC unit. They call them split systems, meaning it's just split from the external one, but it goes into that room. Some of you have room air conditioners and or heaters. Those work better, technically, than a shared air conditioning unit, which spreads a virus and or anything else across the air ducts. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Now, hospitals are set up for this, and many of them have what are called HEPA regulated with UV. They have great filters, and they're very expensive. They're very expensive. This is what hospitals have. This is why ICUs have the ability to have air conditioning in certain rooms and still sequester that from other rooms, because it's where the register's at. Wherever the register's at, where it sucks up the air. Let's say I had let's say I had the cold virus, all right, and or the flu virus. Let's just keep it very simple. And I started coughing around where the air is sucked up, thrown into the circulation device, and then spit back into all the other rooms. Do you understand how that could be easily transmitted, Jesse?
Oh yeah, very easily.
And some businesses have these set up in that way. I recommended to one studio, I says, you might want to make a recommendation to the owner just to get installed. Call your local HVAC rep and say, hey, how much does it take to add on a UV filter? Okay. And they range from as little as, I've seen them for as little as like, you know what, call your local provider. Because I don't want to throw out. So some are really, I know of one family member who has his little one who was a premature baby and has very difficult problems with the lungs. So he invested in the top grade one for his family. And rightly so, right? So I say if it's in your budget, do so. But if you're a business out there and you're making, at least some money, or you're thinking, how can we make it safer for our community, especially if those that have hospital grade, maybe for family care centers, maybe you need to invest in that. Because the air will come through. Let me bring up something so that you guys know what to ask for, okay? Because I've been having this conversation with quite a few people, and I've talked about it briefly, but I feel that this is going to come up more in the future, okay? And they're called, let me look up a good one, because there's all kinds out there, some better than others. And some people, which are have asthma problems, they put these in, and all of a sudden they go, oh, I just breathe better, because it's constantly what they call, some refer to it as scrubbing the air. Mm-hmm. But in essence, the air is passing through, and the UV light is so concentrated that it ends up killing the majority of the bacteria in it. They're never 1,000% proof, because you never know what it can't kill.
Yeah.
But even in China, they use these UV lights. Some of them use these boxes in hospitals so that they put their face mask in, they put in their cell phone. We've talked about that here on the show, right, Jesse? About like UV killing bacteria on your phone device. You put it in a device. They sell these at Fry's, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
I had one here. I don't know where it's at. I'll show you one day. But so they have these little boxes, but no truth to the rumor. You don't want to like stare at it, because long exposure to looking at these devices, especially they have all different types of oscillating UV light transmitters, and I could be using the wrong information here, but like this one, direct exposure to the UVC used in HVAC systems is hazardous, particularly to the skin and eyes. With the right conditions and proper installation, though, UV lights can be very effective at killing viruses, mold, and bacteria. The two working together to make your home or office building a much healthier place. And again, I'm not getting paid to talk about this. We don't have a sponsor saying, hey, go call us. I'm just saying, call your local provider. And if you already are having bad problems with mold, asthma, or the like, you already will benefit from it, okay? There's a lot of stuff and fumes that come in from your other bleaches and stuff. This stuff just helps the air circulate in such a better way. It's much better than those room ones, to be honest, unless you have like a very small room. But those are kind of gimmicky, if that makes sense. Does that make sense, Jesse? It's a little gimmicky.
What do you mean?
Well, there's some that are very like, oh, it'll clean the air in the room, but you're like, but how does it know where the air is at? It's a really big room. So some people get those, but it's like, well, where? But if you have a HVAC system, it'll suck up the air, recirculate. That's how it cools it. It goes through the coolant, right? Which is just, I remember some people saying, doesn't the air come from the outside? I go, no, it's circulate in the inside. So it sucks it up, recirculates it, spits it back out, and it keeps recirculating it. That's it. That's all it does. So it's most of them are internal. And even if you have a split unit, it exhausts the hot air out, but at the same time cools the rest of the air. Not true. It doesn't happen that way the majority of times. Now, some indoor ones, which have like a little vacuum setup, like I have one in my own room, and that sends out the hot air, but it still cools the cool air, and then it spits out the cool air. You understand? It's complicated. It's different for every single HVAC system, but a central system, like I said, the ductwork is all interconnected. If it's not split up in each room, you may isolate in one room, but that may be where the register is at. Now you're spitting it back up into the rest of the house. So, just so you know, and that goes back to my days of honestly helping people with HVAC systems. I used to do that back in the day. All right, people. Well, anyway, we got to take a break here on the morning show. For those of you tuning in, yes, the latest breaking news: President Trump and his wife Melania are self-isolating. Coronavirus tested positive as of I believe the news headline said of late last night. I don't know. Still checking out the news. We'll come back with more right after these messages. Stay tuned.
Son las 12 de la madrugada, mirándome en el espejo.
You heard of me? What have you heard?
I heard you're the devil.
I might be.
Come on, fool.
Good, eh?
Every gang in LA has to pay their taxes.
What's up, Holmes?
Wake up.
If you stack short, go rob a bank. Rob your own mother. There's no excuses. Do not test that.
Whoa, hey, whoa. Guys look like a couple of monsters.
What the hell, man?
Yeah, but I'm at peace with that.
Son las 12 de la madrugada, mirándome en el espejo.
What's up, Johnny Cash? How about that time you gave me like 3 different STDs?
Are you kidding? Just kidding. Just kidding. You got your wife, you got your kids, you got your castle.
Daddy!
I'm supposed to terrorize the herd. That's my function.
God allows me to walk through the darkness and come back into the light.
What did you see in me?
I heard that you were this big bad gangster.
You're taxing 43 different street gangs. That's thousands of dudes in the most violent subculture in Los Angeles.
The count's short.
Who are you? I'm the future, and you the past.
Got your kids. You want to buy them back? You don't think he wants to spill blood? He wants to cut your heart up.
Can't run with what's left.
I got a 380 on each ankle, 38 on my right, 25 on my left, chopper in the trunk, Glock on my belt. I'm on him.
Took my kids, man.
I'm riding with you till the wheels fall off.
You're bad. You ain't that bad, all right?
Esperando los kilos por American Airlines. Traen frío de 10 años y empiezan a chotear. Y estoy hablando poniendo mi celda arriba allí Fernando con tu celular.
Open your mouth.
He'll splatter your brains out. I don't want that.
I do. I want that.
All right, so there you go. The tax collector. That's Cheyenne. We're gonna have coming up around the corner. Super excited about this interview coming up. I got questions for days
10
about this
seconds.
film. Seriously, do. And no truth to the rumor. I think she does some of her own stunts.
2 seconds.
That's right. It's the morning show right here on ABC News Radio KMET 1490 AM. Joining our live streaming audience over there at Periscope TV, LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, Apple TV, and much, much more. Actually, we could get back on Roku TV. It's not that hard. We appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. We are on Apple TV, by the way, via the Periscope app. Just check it out. You can, if you have Apple TV, go ahead and let us know. We're also on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, and much, much more. Coming up around the corner, super excited about this. From the tax collector. Yeah, I know, you're probably thinking the tax collector is looking a little different these days. If you're on our streaming audience edition, the tax collector starring Shia LaBouf, and quite a cast, by the way, quite a cast. One of which I just have to say, I can't wait to see it. Lana Parrilla. Seriously, I don't know if you guys remember. Once upon a time, she played I'm just going to say The Wicked Witch, okay? For those of you that haven't seen it, you know that if you haven't seen all 7 seasons, by the way, I recommend binge watching that. Granted, I at first went in with both feet going, very reluctant, but long story short, I got sucked in, quite admittedly so, and then I just couldn't fully not watch again. So she stars in this as well, and we'll talk a little bit about that and much, much more. All right. Latest news out right now, and this is another top headline, just for those of you wondering what the poll will be like. 33 states will ask voters to wear masks at polling stations. Some states will allow curbside voting for those without masks. For Frances Smiley Brown, the upcoming presidential election will mark the 5th time she's worked the polls as an election judge in Denver. But with the coronavirus still lurking, she knows that this experience will be like no other. Preparations include a raft of increased safety protocols at polling sites, such as separating voters and judges with plexiglass separators, spacing outlines, and disinfecting surfaces. You know what, Jesse? I don't know how, but there's some places I've been to lately, and honestly, it's more frustrating going shopping because of coronavirus. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Maybe. How's it frustrating for you?
Well, I'll give you an example. I went to Walmart to go get a phone case. Okay.
Enough said. You said Walmart. No, okay, go ahead.
I went to Walmart to go get a phone case. Okay. So I was there. You know how they lock them up in the aisle, right? They keep them locked up, right? And you're like, I'm not gonna steal a phone case, but I get it. A lot of people steal from Walmart. I get that. But here's the reality. Walmart actually. Another lady came over and she had the guy open it up for her, right? And he says, okay, now you got to go wait in line, right, to go get it. He was going to give it, to the counter person. And then of course I did what I thought was right. I said, hey, can I also? Oh no, you have to get in line to ask me to open it up. And I was like,
Really?
That makes no sense to me. But okay. He's like, well, there's other people in line to ask me to open things. I go, but I said, okay. I didn't want to argue, right? So, kid you not, I waited in line in order to get, and then it wasn't even the case. Like, it wasn't the case that I needed. So, at the end of the day, I had to wait in line just to get look at a case that wasn't even, but I will say he was nice. But he had a makeshift face mask that wasn't a face mask at all. It was more like one of those ski masks that did there was no, I didn't know how to tell him. I wanted to hand him an N95. It was constantly falling off his face because it wasn't even proper. It was like, what do they call those? But it was like one of those styrofoam ones. It wasn't even proper. And I was like, and then I looked at 25 different people, many of with kids, like their face masks just constantly falling off their nose. And I say that only to say, people, let's invest just a little in an N95 mask, okay? That's it. Just do that, and you'll be fine. Okay, hold on, guys. Our next guest is trying to call in, but here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna reconnect with our next guest. That's Cheyenne is going to join us. Cheyenne Hernandez from The Tax Collector. So excited about this. Let's connect with her. We'll be right back right after these messages. Stay tuned. All right, we're on a commercial break. We're coming back with Cheyenne coming soon. We'll be right back right here. Here we go.
Two seconds.
All right, thanks, Jesse. That's right. It's the morning show right here on ABC News Radio, KMET, 1490 AM. Joining our live audience over there, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, let's see, where else are we? Oh, that's right. Periscope TV, LinkedIn, and of course, Apple TV. Glad to have you with us. Joining us all the way from somewhere around the world, yes, is somebody who is really rocking it over there with the swords. I'm talking about none other than from the tax collector, Cheyenne Hernandez, joining us right now in the studio over there. Good morning. Welcome to the show, Cheyenne.
Hi. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Cheyenne, look, I understand you've got a lot going on. Of course, this film is already out. People can go watch it right now. But, pre-coronavirus, this is when, you were doing I understand you did some of your own stunts. Is that true?
I did. It was crazy. It wasn't planned, but I'm just kind of stubborn, and I just begged David until he let me do it.
Yeah, I get that. I understand that. Look, I understand a lot of people, of course, in the world want to do their own stunts and want to be in an action film. But you got swords in this one, in the main graphic. Did you ask to do that? Did they ask you to do that? Or did you, who thought of that?
So it was weird. So we went on set, it was training, and he brought on board a weapons guy to kind of train everybody on how to handle weapons. And David and Shia knew that I was prior military, but nobody else really did. So the weapons guy came on and he started to say, okay, this is the safety, this is this. And then we just hear Shia and David start cracking up from the back. And they were like, why don't you just let her do it? And so I took over and I started showing everybody what I could do with the different weapons. So it turned into just kind of putting different weapons in my hand and saying, well, what could you do with that? Oh my God, what can you do with that? So that photo was me just playing with knives.
Well, you know what, and I've got friends that love knives, by the way, all ladies, and I'm not gonna lie, you give me a blade, and I get a little okay, well, let's see how we can operate with that. Give me a gun though, and I can operate that, or at least I'd like to say that. I'm supposed to go arms training pretty soon. So okay, let's go into this film. Obviously, the tax collector. For those that are listening in our radio audience, can you give a brief overview of it? Because I don't want to give away any spoilers.
Okay, so tax collector, it's kind of, okay, so you have Bobby Soto and Shia LaBouf, and they're the good bad guys, because nobody in the film is really, really good, except for Cynthia Carmona. And then you have Conejo and I, which are the two bad guys. And so you have Bobby and Shia collecting taxes, they're gang affiliated, and then and they seem to be living as peaceful of a life as they can. And then Conejo and I come over and kind of say, all right, hand over the crown, the throne is ours, and we just start causing trouble, and yeah.
Yeah, and it looks very gritty. End of Watch. I love that movie, by the way, End of Watch. And so look, the whole cast is amazing. Obviously, what was it like? Because you're kind of thrown into this world, and is this kind of a different world than you're used to or accustomed to?
Yes and no. I grew up in El Paso, Texas, and I mean, I think anywhere people grow up, there's the gang world, and most people know somebody who knows somebody. And so I kind of grew up, and those were my friends. And so when I did this movie, I already knew the lifestyle. I knew what was expected of me. And so it was an easy role to fit into as far as that lifestyle. But my character was just off the rails crazy, so that wasn't as easy to step into.
Well, and look, I always say a woman with swords on any, it always reminds me of the movie Kill Bill. Do you think if Kill Bill they did another one that you could now apply for that?
Let me tell you something. Quentin Tarantino, I am coming for him, okay? I want to be in a Quentin Tarantino movie so bad. I'm looking forward to the day where I can meet him and hopefully weird him out enough to where he'll let me be in his movie.
You know what? I hear he has a foot fetish, so just, show your feet, okay?
Well, I recently found out that I'm on Wiki Feet. Somebody sent me that.
Enough said.
Yeah.
Enough said. It's destined to be in your future, obviously. Okay, and now you put that together with that. Just say, hey, look at my wiki feet. Look, no truth. It's a thing. It's a Quentin Tarantino. Everybody knows this. I'm not throwing anything out there that people don't know. Okay, but look, in reality, obviously, this film is. I feel it's what we need a little bit more of, right? As a little bit more entertainment. I gotta ask, what's that like having now a virtual audience? Because, it kind of debuted at a moment where a normal red carpet premiere would be appropriate. Were you able to have a semi red carpet premiere for this?
Not really. So I watched it over here in Australia, and it actually took me a few days before I was able to watch it. It came out. And everybody just kind of kept saying, you have to see it, you have to see it. And I would just kind of pause before I could press play on the remote. I was so new, you have to understand, I had no real acting experience from the past. And so I walk onto this set and there's Shia LaBouf, George Lopez, Lana Parrilla. I felt like I was a peasant among kings in a way, And so I felt like I just could not be the weak link of the movie. So when I was watching it, when I was about to watch it, I just kind of froze up like, oh my God, am I going to suck? So I think that I personally, I was just terrified to watch it. But I eventually got around to it, and it was pretty good.
I have heard nothing bad about your character, by the way. So good job on that. That's always very important. Yeah, and I could understand that, but obviously a lot of people have that question of, what do you mean you had no acting? I mean, you did in order to even be brought in. What was that process like to be able to be called in on this very big film?
It's a dream. It's still not really real to me yet. I can't believe it. The thing is I went from being homeless, living out of my car or couch surfing in LA, to all of a sudden I'm one of the main characters in a David Ayer film. It shouldn't happen like that, but it did. And so it's mind blowing, but it really does kind of show you how if you want something bad enough, it's gonna happen. If you just keep putting yourself in the line of fire, you're eventually gonna get hit.
Well, and Cheyenne, I want to say thank you for being very honest about that. I've met so many actors, either present day and or past, which often end up, because let's face it, it's a gritty business to even get to be a part of, right? And even if you have like good roles, sometimes you're putting yourself out there in so much casting calls, and it's work, and it's a lot of unpaid work until that final moment where you hit it, and people don't understand the amount of drive that you need to keep going. And I will say this: if you got featured in this as early in the game as possible, that says you're on the right career path. What would be your recommendation to those? Maybe they're not acting, but maybe they're pursuing, especially during coronavirus. I think a lot of the opportunities have kind of unofficially dried up, and we're all trying to figure out how to do it right, how to go back to the way it was, do it safely, and then of course push out more good content, which I'm thinking more animated films, because that's easier for people to work virtually and such. I could imagine you doing a lot of voiceover work as well to keep busy in the meantime.
What I would say to people is, honestly, just don't listen to the naysayers. If I listened to every person who told me I couldn't do it, or that I wouldn't end up where I am now, I wouldn't be here. And I think that people really need to look inside themselves to see what they define as success. Because I think a lot of people have told me, oh, you're not going to succeed in acting. And it's like, okay, well, what does success look like to you? Because to me, succeeding in acting meant that I'm acting, I'm actively training. I'm actively being involved in these projects. And so I always say this, I am the most successful person that I know, hands down, not because I made it in acting, not because I'm insanely rich, but because I am exactly where I want to be. I am happy. I'm doing exactly what I love to do. And so I think that this pandemic, yeah, it's put some obstacles in the way, but I mean, my success depends on my happiness, and I'm happy just training with my acting coach. You know, I'm happy just getting these calls about these small projects that want me to be a part of it, and I'm like, heck yeah. Sorry, that was me trying not to cuss there.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
FCC appreciates that. I don't want to get that bill, by the way. Thank you.
Heck yeah, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, it's you just gotta ask yourself, what's gonna make me happy, and that, I promise you, what makes you happy, that's what's gonna lead you to success.
Well, Cheyenne, look, I love your spirit. I could feel your energy all the way from over here. Which oddly enough, what time is it there in Australia?
1:30 in the morning.
Okay, people. I just want to throw this out there, okay? And here's the reason I'm throwing this out there. There are so many people that I get oftentimes to ask to be on the morning show from other countries and or other places, and some go, "Oh, it's too late. I don't want to be up." But you are second to none. A, ready to go. B, I don't know how you're doing it at this moment in time, but you're making it look like it's a morning time over there, and it's not. And I want to say thank you for being on our live show. I know that's not easy, but back to commitment. When I see actors do exactly what you're doing and say, "Look, I'll take it," and you know, let's promote the film and let's do this. I think if you continue in that way, you will never be out of work.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Because that's part of the show business. That's the business part of it.
I feel like it was the same way in the military too. All of the greatest opportunities, I mean, came from the details that you're like, oh man, this is gonna suck. Gotta wake up early. Gotta do this. But all of the best opportunities came that way.
Well, I appreciate that. Look, let's get back into the film, okay? Because your character, you said this is, I mean, your character's, I'm not going to lie. I saw your character in the photos and I said, and then I saw your other photos and I go, I'm not going to lie. It looks like two different people. What was the preparation for that?
Oh, that was a lot. Oh my gosh. So working with David Ayer, it was amazing. I mean, first off, it was absolutely amazing. He stuck with me as a friend. He's not going anywhere. And it's because he literally forced into me positivity, forced into me that I had to believe in myself, and that the only way that I was going to make this character work is if I truly believed that I was this character. And so it's funny because we got the combat stuff down. I knew how to fight, did my own stunts. That was great. The hardest part of this character was trying to be sexy.
What? How can that be different? You know, I hear that though. I hear that from the ladies quite often, because if a director says be sexy, all of a sudden women are like, well, they think of a concept of being sexy, and then they realize oftentimes it doesn't work. So, I mean, but it seems like you found your groove.
See, I'm a nerd. Like I'm a goofball. I'm the comic relief in most situations. So when I was asked to be sexy, I did not know what to do. And so Shia took me salsa dancing. Cynthia Carmona was trying to teach me how to burlesque dance. I mean, we tried everything. And it was finally Chelsea Rendon, thank God, she kind of just took me aside and said, look, she's like, you are your own version of sexy. She's like, Cynthia's sexy in her way, I'm sexy in my way. She's like, you're sexy in the, you know how to handle your weapons, you're a bad ASS. And so I was kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm pretty tough, I'm pretty cool. And then from there, it just kind of started developing. And then, I don't know, once I kind of found that, I tied the combat into the sexy, into the strong woman, and I just kind of mushed them all together, and that was Gata. And I had to really release my own inhibitions in order to do that, because I felt like, because I was telling myself, look, you're not pretty, you're not sexy, you're not flash like that. I was in my own way, essentially. So I just had to let all that go and just become her.
Well, and I'm glad you're mentioning that, because let's talk about empowering ideas versus the opposite. Okay, I feel a lot of both men and women, but more importantly, women have kind of been pushed down in such a way that they view sometimes themselves as well. You mentioned something earlier that people kind of put on you sometimes. Oh, you're not going to be, and it's almost like a fight you have to do with those others that may not believe in you as much. But who and or what situation helped you push all that away from you?
That's the thing, is that everybody else can force as much positivity and good talks into you, but if you're not willing to receive it, if you're not willing to, do the hard work and make those changes, they can say whatever they want, nothing's going to happen. So I think it was finally me looking at myself and saying, okay, I can't control what anybody else is doing, but I can sure control what I'm doing. So what I'm doing is I'm holding myself back right now, because I'm now telling myself the same things that everybody else was telling me. And so I just kind of had to forget about what everybody else was saying and start liking myself. I think that this project, the biggest thing it did for me was it taught me how to love myself, not just like myself, but love myself. So I came off with this project a completely different person than I walked in. And I mean, thank God, because I'm proud of who I am now, where I couldn't say that before.
And I feel that there's certain films that really help you get out of your own way, because I've always heard this from many actors, which is, I was able to play a character that I normally am not. And then I say, is there any part of that character that you took away with yourself? So it sounds like you took kind of I'm getting from Bobby in social media. He says, definitely badass. So use the hashtag. So did you take that portion away? Because it sounds like you kind of want to do more. I mean, back to Quentin Tarantino. I'm just saying, what's your video message for him? We'll send this to him or tag him.
Oh my God. I'm coming for you, Quentin Tarantino. I'm coming for you. I'm going to weird you out, and you're probably going to put me in a movie.
Okay, you didn't need to do the weird out thing, but look, stay you.
Ask David. David had no idea how weird I was. And then on set, I was walking around doing impressions of the different Family Guy characters. And he just kind of looked at me, and he was just staring at me like that. And then I said, what? What did I do? And he's like, you're going to go on to do things that aren't this. Funny things. So
we need more funny.
So
we need more funny. We need more funny in our life. And look, I hope you do all of that and more. I say keep plugging, keep doing, keep committed, do whatever it takes to get there. I've heard of some of the biggest names now, which actually put a lot more of their career in just the publicity of whatever they do, and they have reaped it bar none. And always stay current, always stay great, stay you, because I can guarantee you're going to go very far.
Thank you so much. I think that's a decision that I made pretty early on, when everybody was like, you have to stop saying this, you have to start saying this, and I said nope. When I was in the military, I had to pretend to be somebody that I wasn't for the longest time. Being a woman in an infantry unit. So now I'm like, nope, no way. I will be myself the whole way, and people aren't gonna like it, but.
You know what? So what? You know how many haters I have had in the last 3 months just because I talk about coronavirus and staying safe? Speaking of which, and you being in Australia, is coronavirus any different there than it is here?
Very, very, yeah. I mean, Australia, right now we're in hardcore quarantine here in Melbourne, so only one person can go to the grocery store at a time. It's very cautious, but I think we're down to, if I'm correct, like 11 to 12 getting diagnosed a day. So they're set to lift quarantine here pretty soon. But it's a different world over here than what I'm seeing just through the camera in America right now.
Yeah, and unfortunately so. But look, Cheyenne, obviously, thank you for spending time with us here on the morning show. Go get your rest, okay? I don't know how many more interviews you got scheduled after this one, but thank you for spending your, what is this, past midnight or early? Are you a night owl or a morning owl, or none of the owls, or just you make yourself do it?
Depends on the interviews. it depends on the interviews right now. My sleep goes according to that.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, well, Cheyenne, again, for those that want to tune in to all of your great stuff, your great career, I understand you're big on Instagram, not so big on Twitter. We got to work on your Twitter, by the way. You have one, you haven't used it.
I hate social media, if I'm being honest. Honestly, I think my followers on Instagram have really pushed me to do better because they're so amazing and they're so supportive. But Twitter, I need to get better. I think I have one tweet on there that says, "Now I'm on the tweeter" or something like that.
Last question. I would be amiss with certain people that are Once Upon a Time fans. I'm sorry, but I understand you kind of have a sister from another. I can't even say that. But Lana Parrilla. Yeah, because I understand she's in this film, and you two have kind of. I could see you as like long lost sisters from another life.
We are. It's crazy. We had an immediate soul connection. The second that I met her, we just gravitated towards each other. And one of my favorite things that happened on set was I had to walk across this humongous plot of grass in stilettos and look hot and bad ASS as I did it. And so I was kind of staring at it just awkwardly because, I mean, I still had calluses from my combat boots. I had no idea what to do in stilettos. And so I was just looking at the grass, freaking out. And she came up to me and just said, "Honey, do you need help?" And I just kind of nodded. And she taught me right there how to walk in heels on grass, toe first. And literally from that moment, we've been inseparable. So, I mean, we have family days, and she's one of my best friends in the whole world.
Well,
I'm very, very...
I say surround yourself by people that are doers and surround yourself by people that are so positive no matter what life throws at them. Stay positive, stay strong, and keep spreading the love and the light out there, okay?
Thank you so much. And thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, no, thank you. All right, people, we've run out of time. That's it. Oh, man, go check it out. It's right there, The Tax Collector. You can go check it out right now. It's very simple. Go get it. And then you're going to be happy that you did. And then, of course, you'll be able to see much more, again, from Cheyenne. Go follow her on Instagram. I am as well. I'll be stalking her for quite a while and her entire career. I tell you, this lady's going to go on to very, very, very big things. So make sure to at least do this. Bundle all of that excitement and joy in your own self, because sometimes during this coronavirus, sometimes people have dreams, they have wishes, and they have thoughts, but they have to put in the work to do it. And I can tell you right now, if you have some downtime, then focus on your craft, focus on your career, shoot, if you're a musician and or an artist, you have the ability to do social media left, right, and center. So do that, do more of it, and if it's in the middle of the night or 3 a.m., answer the call. All right, people, we love you. We appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, wait, that's right. It's Saturday. Have fun. Bye-bye, everyone. All right, so here's the deal. I still got you on. If you want to do a little after show program a little bit, because I feel like you got so much to say that we couldn't cover in there. For those of you tuning in, would you mind staying just for a few minutes, or do you need to go?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let me bring you back on. This is my after show, so we're no longer on the air on ABC News Radio. But you know what? I feel that there was so much left unsaid that I feel you have a lot to share, a lot of inspiration, a lot of hope. So I'm going to start off the question of this. So many women right now are finding it tough. Either they're in an abusive relationship, either they're in a bad relationship, either they're going through a bad relationship. Some are being quiet about their relationships. Some are trying to get out of a bad relationship because due to the lockdown, I would venture to say a lot of domestic abuse victims are out there, which many don't even talk about. But back to your ability to become that badass woman, does that give you a spirit of independence of saying, look, I can always put my foot down no matter what, not be taken advantage of?
Yeah, I pity the person whoever tries to be abusive with me.
Me too, but that's a good thing, right? You're like, look, I can defend myself. Come at me, and then they come at, and then you throw them down.
The thing is like I'm not the greatest fighter. I study it, and I think that there's something to be said about just constantly pursuing something. So if it's confidence that somebody's after, I always recommend martial arts. MMA has been amazing for me, even if it's just a self-defense class. And if you're in a situation that you're struggling to get out of, I really do hate when people say, "Oh, just leave, just break up," because that doesn't happen. You don't just snap your fingers and just walk out. But what I would encourage people to do is start the process of getting yourself out of that situation. So whether it be, communicating what's going on with people who care about you and who love you, or with the authorities, or like I said, say you're gonna go do MMA classes and stuff, and then let the sensei know what's going on. Just seek help from somebody that's not in your head, because your head's gonna convince you all kinds of different things, and sometimes you do just need outside help.
Yeah, Cheyenne, and I'm glad you mentioned that. What particular, because mixed martial arts is like there's so many different ones. What are your top 3 favorite ones, and are ones that you want to get better at?
Well, what I study right now is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, American Kempo, and Russian boxing. And my sensei is absolutely amazing. He knows exactly what I need every single time I walk in that dojo, whether it's, you look like you're mad today, go hit the bags, or let's have some Zen in the dojo today, and we'll just do short forms. So it's like, having somebody who understands you and what you need from the workout that day is really, really awesome. I do want to also look into Muay Thai because of the high kicks and stuff. And like I said, I want to be in Quentin Tarantino movies, and I've seen a lot of the high kicks and stuff, so I got to get better at that.
Well, I think even if it isn't Quentin Tarantino, I think any other director that's an awesome action director. Do you feel that you would like to do more drama, comedy, or does it really matter, or are you stuck with the action film? Not that, action films are great, seriously. I think an actor that could do it all is, but back to something that you said earlier, which I find kind of odd. How long have you been acting?
Well, I started when I was actually in the military. I would sneak away to go to auditions, and I got a role on Hawaii Five-0, and so it was just a small role. So I did that, and then I did a couple of commercials, but it wasn't, I didn't start, Hollywood acting until I got to LA in 2018. I got there, was homeless in my car or sleeping on couches, and just trying to meet people, and I wound up interning for this acting program, worked my way up to actually teaching the kids class of improv, and then met my acting coach there, who introduced me to my manager, and my first audition in Hollywood got me tax collector. So
wow.
It's mind-blowing, but it just like, I wanted it, so it's kind of, I don't know if you've ever read that book, Go for the No. But if you're kind of expecting a no, and you're kind of like going for the worst thing that can happen is a no, it gets you places, I think people saw how bad I wanted it, how hard I was willing to work.
It's interesting that you say that. I did read this one's because I come from the world of sales, and that was what I did before I got into entertainment. I like, unlike you, I didn't really seek to do this. It just kind of fell in my lap, and then I had to go, what do I do with this now? And then there's so many things that have been wanting to take me away from this that I say, okay, because sometimes financially it doesn't always pay the bills, at least on my end. But at the same time, I see the need to do this, and in a way, I see that with back to your combat training and of course serving in the Army. Is that correct? It was the Army. Okay, so obviously you have become a very militarized person. So much so, it sounds like I pity the fool who tries to talk down to you or am I right? Wrong?
Yeah. The thing is it's weird because I think that I'm more likely to do something if somebody's messing with somebody else. I always have people that have been mean to me, I've never really fit in anywhere. And in the military, I had a lot of people being mean to me because I was a female attached to an infantry unit. And I always try to kill people with kindness. But it's weird. If I see somebody messing with somebody who can't defend themselves, that's when I get a little bit snappy.
Thank you. I'm the same way. I'm kind until you mess, typically with my friends, right? Does that make sense? I cannot. stand it, which I call, the inner warrior princess is what you need to let out a little bit more often. Of course, within reason.
If it's me, it's hilarious because people can be mean to me all they want, and I just kind of kill them with kindness, and I make them look like an idiot by me being nice back. They definitely shouldn't put their hands on me because, and again, I'm not gonna destroy them or anything. It's just, I think my sensei, what he's really good at is teaching you how to disarm somebody, shock them enough to where you can just walk away, which is what I've gotten pretty good at. But yeah, I try not to let the gata out.
You know what? It's okay to let the gata out. Look, okay, I want to leave with this because I've been trying to do what, another usually half hour or hour of inspirational talk. Usually it's just me talking, and I think people are kind of bored with that, okay? So if for a minute and a half, if you could speak to the youth of our generation, many of our young ones, unfortunately, are either becoming, let's put it this way. If it was difficult for you or I to grow up, imagine growing up through coronavirus. A, sequestered from your friends. B, unfortunately, not maybe having a bigger inner circle, right? Everything's virtual. And there's a lot of depression going on. I've heard suicides are at an all-time high. Depression is at an all-time high. I think they polled somebody was anywhere from 40 to 30% on average. It's almost gone to 48%. For the youth of our generation, either for the young girls and even the young boys, but let's speak to the young girls. What would be your advice or your moment of inspiration to the young one to keep pushing forward no matter what life throws at you?
Well, first off, I would say that I have been there, and sometimes I am there still. Well, so when I was in the military, I had two brothers. By blood, they're my cousins, but we were kind of thrown in together as a litter and raised that way, so I call them my brothers. And my brother Isaiah, he was going to join the military with me. And so he was 2 weeks away from leaving for basic training, and him and my other brother Joshua were both killed by a drunk driver. And I was home on leave actually when this happened, and I got the call, and my whole world just ended. All of a sudden, my partner in crime was just gone. Him and I wanted to be in the military together. We were going to go act together. He's the reason that I moved to LA to start acting, because him and I were supposed to do it. And when he died, that went away. Everything went away. I was suicidal. I attempted it multiple times. The Army put me on the heaviest meds that you can possibly think of. Highest dose of Lexapro, highest dose of Topamax. I was just a zombie all the time. And so finally, when I was out of the military and I got off my meds, because I realized, I was like, you know what, I don't need these. I'm not crazy. I'm heartbroken. I'm devastated. And I think that so many people try to cover that up with distractions, with medication. I mean, I know some people do need medication, and I'm not discouraging people who need it from taking it. What I'm saying is try the alternatives first. Because I was so easily placed on them, and it was to kind of mute my emotions and make me less likely to do something dumb because I was depressed. And when I got off of those, I got really sick because I wasn't supposed to get off. You're not supposed to quit cold turkey. I got really, really sick, lost a lot of weight. And at that time, I really thought, this is the end. This is it. Like, what am I living for? Why am I here? My reasons are gone. And what I would have to say is that thank God I didn't kill myself. Thank God that I pushed through it, because none of this would have happened if I was dead. You know, I've met the love of my life. I'm engaged to the man of my dreams. I'm in a movie with the most amazing people that I could possibly imagine, and they're my best friends for life. And none of this would have happened if I had given up. You know, and it's crazy because it's those tiny moments, it's those small moments that that mean so much, because it was those moments that I could have lived or died. And so what I would say is find your reason. Just find one thing that will keep you going. Mine was Isaiah. He was my reason. So I realized, like, here I am, you know, an alcoholic, depressed, suicidal, and if he's watching me, he is so disappointed in me. And so I literally, from one day to the next, packed up my cat, my suitcase, everything. And my grandma helped me drive my cat to El Paso, Texas, so she could watch him, because I knew I was about to be homeless. And then I drove to LA, and I was homeless. I was living out of a car, or couch surfing on friends' couches. I was interning, making no money. But I had a purpose. I knew what I wanted. I knew what I needed to do, and nothing, I'm telling you, nothing was going to stop me from doing it. And I think that so many people, they just need to find a purpose. They need to find that one thing that makes them get out of bed the next day. And even if it has nothing to do with them, even if it's completely for somebody else for a while, that's okay. But first, they need to address why it is that they're feeling that way. What is it that's causing this? And I can tell you that there's so many factors that can cause this in little girls, little boys. I mean, you look on TV, you look on the internet, on Instagram, Facebook, and you see what kids think that they're supposed to look like, what kids think that success is supposed to look like. And it's like, they have no idea that maybe that person looks nothing like that. Maybe that person is a millionaire and absolutely miserable. They have no idea, because it's through this Instagram lens, you know, and that's part of the reason why I just really don't like social media. But I think that they need to start measuring their success based off of themselves, what's going to make them happy. And I think I said this earlier, I'm the most successful person I know, but it's only because I'm happy. I'm exactly who I want to be. I'm doing exactly what I want to do. And this doesn't happen overnight. It took me a long time to get here, and it takes a lot of hard work, but you have to value yourself. You have to love yourself enough to want to do it. And I mean, that's really, those are the first steps, and you just got to keep going. You just have to keep pushing, because like I said, if I gave up back then, I wouldn't have anything that I have today.
Well, and you know what, for those that know me already, and I know you don't know my story, but I'm very adamant about suicide, because if I would have done what I wanted to do about, it's almost going on, it's a long time, okay? But I was on the cusp of that myself, and I love it when people are very real and raw about it, because it doesn't mean that once you either A, thought about it, B, maybe attempted it, or C, were very close to having done it, or even did it but somehow got saved by another person, that you cannot recover from that to the point where you could be an inspiration, not just for your own self, saying, look, I addressed all the things that were in me, I addressed all the thoughts, the emotions, and I kept pushing, plugging forward, and then I had to do the hard work, grasp onto whatever was there, either it be in my mindset and or in the realm of the subconscious mind. Being able to go from zero to hero overnight is not easy. And for those that think it is easy, I say it's still sometimes something you have to push through no matter what life throws at you. But if you can continue to push past the boundaries, kind of like, again, martial arts. And I've been learning martial arts as well as of late. And it's great, because sometimes you have to push your own boundary, and then once you push past your own boundary, there was a kick I did that I never thought I could do in the past, and because I have a bad knee, but I was able to push through it and in essence help repair my knee in all of it. But I gotta say, in some way, that's almost like mind, body, spirit, fortitude of bringing it all together to become one with your own self. Have you found that to be true for you as well?
Definitely. And I would also say too that people need to keep in mind that somebody else and their progress, that has nothing to do with you and your progress. Just because somebody else can snap their fingers and fix it all overnight doesn't mean, one, that you can, or two, that that's even true, and that's not just another facade that somebody else has put up. And so I think a lot of people, they measure themselves based off of who's next to them, and it's kind of like, you just have to go at your own pace. You know, if tomorrow you're even a little bit better than you were today, that right there is progress. You were on the right track, and I think people just really need to remember that.
Cheyenne, thank you very much for spending time with us. A little bit extra time than I know we were accustomed to. And I want to say thank you again. I think somebody out there needs to hear that, especially now. And if you are that person and you're going through what I call a silent killer, sometimes you don't want to share these things. Sometimes you don't even want to call up a suicide hotline because you think nobody will understand you. You got two people right here that may not be going through exactly the same circumstances, because we all treat different life experiences differently. But you have to know this: if you keep pushing forward, you never know what's on the other side of the pushing forward. You never know how many people you're going to impact, how many people you're going to encourage that are going to come into your life. And once you're open about it, especially you, Cheyenne, thank you for being so open and honest. I know others are going to say thank you for doing that, because now it's going to help them in their own life and or their own experience to say, well, if she did it, I think I could do it, right?
Well, that's the thing is, I kind of feel like, what's the point of getting through all of that and getting over here if I can't help somebody else do the same thing, you know? So it feels good. I think that people really helped me get here, and now I can finally help. Now I can be the one helping.
There it is. I love it. All right. Well, we got to let you go. Again, for those of you tuning in, if you haven't already, go get it. It is The Tax Collector. It's on available DVD, Blu-ray, and online, available to stream right now. Thank you again, Cheyenne, for doing all that you're doing to help every one of us spread that love, spread that light, and spread that warrior princess badass self.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.